So I think I want to address something here, friends. It's been a little while of me getting to know you and letting you get to know me a little bit. And I've started to hear some murmurings here and there. Not rumors so much, just bits and pieces of stories, and who doesn't love a good story, right? I mean, I'm the new person here, I get it, so people are gonna talk. And I don't know, maybe it's some of the things I've said, or maybe the way I've said them, that's led to these bits and pieces of stories, so I wanna just put all the talk to rest. I mean, it's not like I'm hiding anything. I also don't feel like I need to make a big show about it. So just so there isn't any confusion about my level of comfort, I just want to say that I am a very proud, a very vocal, and some might say a very experienced lawyer. What do you think I was going to say? Now, the first thing most people ask me when I tell them I'm a lawyer is, well, what kind of lawyer? And to that, I have my usual response, a retired lawyer. The best kind. I tried to put that part of my life to rest so that I could be a minister, so that I could be your minister. And it's in that spirit that I've been with you these past few weeks. And they have not been easy weeks, have they, friends? Around this state, people are preparing for a season of voting that will have enormous impacts on our friends and siblings and on ourselves statewide. Access to abortion care remains stuck in mid-century notions of control over the right to determine one's own reproductive life, and highest elected officials of the state continue their cynical schemes to displace, mistreat, and objectify those in the migration process. It is disappointing. It's confusing, and it's hurtful, to say the very least. But disappointment, confusion, and pain aren't particularly new to me. In fact, they can be very powerful feelings. I learned this kind of early on myself. Lots of us have stories about hard times that we've used to make decisions going forward, and here's one of mine. It begins where any good story about disappointment, confusion, and pain has to begin: high school. Just imagine a high school. Symmetrical rows of lockers, the horde of kids spilling out into the hallways after the final bell of the day. And now imagine the captain of the men's soccer team, homecoming royalty, blonde-haired, a high school heartthrob. Not me. My best friend, Pete, waiting for his friend, me, to give him a ride home from school. We get into my 1984 Buick LeSabre, lovingly dubbed the Beast, and we're on our way to his house. Now, on the way, he's kind of looking at me, and I'm squirming. I'm quiet, not my usual state of being. I'm clearly uncomfortable, and lately I'd been a little moody, uncommunicative, and clearly out of sorts. And he asked me, "What's up? What's going on?" And I was terrified. What would he say? Would he still want to be my friend? I was racked with worry about whether to tell him what was burning inside me. It was only by sheer will that I forced my tightening throat to say the words that I'd wanted to say and that I said for the first time in my life that afternoon: "I want to be a lawyer." No, that's not what I said. I told him I was gay. I came out for the first time to my first person that afternoon. Now, the tightness in my throat, it could have been caused by the turquoise sequin bow tie I was wearing at the time. You see, the last thing I did in school was to perform with my high school show choir, and that was my sequin bow tie as part of my costume for Guys and Dolls. So looking back, I sincerely appreciate how surprised Pete was to learn that his best friend might be gay. I always think about this story this time of year because, this is the month of National Coming Out Day. But it seems like some folks in Washington, including some lawmakers who represent some of you in your own districts, decided to celebrate this by drafting and announcing on Thursday a national Don't Say Gay law. Yeah, you can hiss, that's fine. This might well be a political maneuver meant to drive voters to the polls in the approaching election. It might be a kind of pandering to a part of the electorate. It might be a lot of things. But we know it's bigotry. We know that it is an infringement on free speech. And we know that it is an assault on the dignity of so many that we love, so many of us, and it's scary. There's a lot on the line right now, friends. There are terrified gay kids in 84 Buicks wondering, am I going to have to hide again? They might not have a friend whose love never missed a beat, whose parents raised him to love his friend exactly for who they are, with or without a blue sequin bow tie, and that right there is what's on the line. Now, we've been talking about the ends at this church for a few weeks. The seventh end is to embrace the pursuit of justice as a spiritual practice. Now, that's an end that I think a lot of us can really understand. And we're in good company. When Dr. King was doing the work of explaining the theological reasons for the kind of the direct action he helped to lead in his life, he spoke often of the ends that he sought. His words, but the end is reconciliation. The end is redemption. The end is the creation of the beloved community. It is this type of spirit and this type of love that can transform opposers into friends. It is this type of understanding goodwill that will transform the deep gloom of the old age into the exuberant gladness of the new age. It is this love which will bring about miracles in the hearts of all people. The end is the creation of the beloved community and the exuberant gladness of the new age, friends. Those are the ends. The ends of our church are how we're going to get there. But transforming opposers into friends, it's not going to happen in court. It is not going to happen at the ballot box, and it is not going to happen on social media, I will tell you that. But Dr. King says it might happen in your heart. Now, I grew up in Plano. I was in junior high here in the late 80s. And in so much of the media then, on television, and in Time magazine that was delivered every week to our house, I saw the health of gay men treated the way it was at that time, filled with messages of retribution. And I just kind of thought, if I made out with a guy, that means I'll die. That's the message I got. And that was at the time that I was realizing that I was paying a little more attention to the guys on my football team than the cheerleaders on the sidelines. I was scared, friends. I was scared of who I was becoming, of what fate that held for my health. and my happiness. My life changed, though. In high school, my family moved to a town in western New York that was shockingly gay positive. I had the good fortune of a best friend who didn't blink an eye when I came out, and I had a sister and a pair of parents who said they loved me and only wanted me to be happy. I had all of the support all any child could ask for, and still, I felt the truth from bell hooks that Beth read to us. She speaks of the ways that lovelessness torments. The question, the fear that we will not be loved if we are our full selves is terrifying, friends. It can drive us to the corners of our lives we never dreamed that we would see. It can drive us to escape from fear of lovelessness right into addiction. In others, it leads to isolation or to loneliness. It can lead to devotion to ideologies that offer simple, often righteous, and often condemning answers to that fear. It can lead to the pursuit bell hooks warns about so clearly, the pursuit of power. As we are, in her words, seduced away from love, from real healing love, our anguish intensifies. Has anyone ever felt like that? I have. Has anyone ever thought, if I just got a little more status, more power, more of something, more of those things that a culture built on domination tells us is so great. I remember it, trying, that feeling inside. You can't get me. I'm a big, scary lawyer now. You better not mess with me, I tell you what. For me, it was the power of the law. For others, it might be the accumulation of wealth. Others, just some other way of feeling safe. But it was right about then, when I was really starting to get a hold of what I thought I wanted. That's when it happened. Totally by chance, like for a lot of us. I just strolled the 2 blocks from my apartment to Lexington Avenue and walked into All Souls in New York. I walked in. I had no idea what was happening. But I cried and cried. I'd arrived for the coming of age service, you see. For those of you who don't know what it is, buckle up. It's when the youngest members of our community who are ready share their reflections of their own spiritual journeys with you, with the congregation as the focal point of the service. I was touched, both by the fearless words of these young prophets and by the love beaming out from you and from their advisors. And I felt it right there. Me not knowing what's going on, the kids speaking truth I would have never dared at that age, and all of you just smiling, just over the moon with love. That is the love that has the power to bring about miracles in the heart of all humankind. That is the love that is coming to us as gift, as promise, as earthly paradise. That is the beloved community. That's what's on the line for us, friends. The work of justice is transformation from lovelessness to belovedness. Cornel West famously said, "Justice is what love looks like in public." Justice is what love looks like in public. when you and your social action council treat the rights of every voter and every vote as serious and sacred with forums and postcard writing, that's what love looks like in public, friends. That's right. When you and this church affirm the right of bodily and reproductive autonomy as a sacred human right, that's what love looks like in public, friends. And when anyone tries to tell any of our kids or anyone else that they are anything less than fully and totally loved for exactly who they are, no matter what they look like, no matter what they wear, no matter where they come from, no matter who they love or who they just want to kiss, anyone who tries that, they are going to find out what our justice looks like in public, friends, and how. Because anyone who does something like that needs church, friends. Bless their hearts. We can see these challenges to our values and be mad and scared. Sure, that's totally natural. I have been there, alone in my thoughts about what needs to change. I've thought I was powerful and could just overcome anything on my own. But when we're mad and when we're scared, those are signs of something much greater. For where there is lacking, whether for understanding, lacking for compassion, or lacking of love, where there's lacking, Hooks tells us that is where we find possibility. Cynicism today in suppression of the democratic process holds the possibility of finding a voice for all in the days to come. Callousness today toward the realities of reproductive health of a parent holds the possibility of a full bodily autonomy in the days to come, and even hatred today toward those who love whom they love or whose gender identity doesn't fit into some neat enough category for some. Even this hatred today holds the possibility of forgiveness in the days to come. Now, you're going to see something after service, so I want to warn you about it, and you might hear about it. In the donut shop, you might find one more vegan donut. They were very popular at the first service. But I want to tell you about when I went to pick them up. The very kind young woman behind the counter was very animated. I think she'd been hitting the sugar a little hard that morning, just to be honest. She handed him over these vegan donuts, and she says, "Are these for anything special?" And I said, "No, it's just that the LGBTQ group at my church runs our donut shop, and they don't have any vegan donuts." Now, I must have forgotten I was in Texas. And I don't know which of those words or what order I put them in put that look on her face. But it was somewhere between, "Are you messing with me?" and "Oh my God, your church sounds amazing." And we've all been there, right? Whether we discovered this church later in life or grew up with this incalculable gift, we know exactly what it feels like when the world seems like it's going mad to have a place of hope and a promise of new life. To have a place that meets cynicism with hope, answers loneliness with community, shows love even in the face of hate. The psalmist says, "Weeping endureth for the night, but joy cometh in the morning." I think a reasonable Unitarian translation of that text is, "It's been a long week and I need a gay vegan donut." That is the joy. That is the joy that Hooks dares to hope of in her earthly paradise. That is the exuberant gladness that King preached of in the beloved community. That is what this church calls the promise of transformational love. And that, and nothing less, is what is on the line. Hallelujah and amen.